All right, welcome back to another episode of the EventHubs Talk and Block Show. I am John Catalyst Gray, and with me as always is John Velociraptor Guerrero.
John, I can't see you.
Yeah. It's I'm hidden in the Street Fighter 6 beta. You're gonna have to look really closely, but you will find me in there. My avatar may or may not be lopsided. Well,
did you make one of those crazy weird avatars that people are making, those nightmare fuel ones? They're popping up all over the place now. That's good. I just mashed let's go and play the game really quick, but now I kind of have some. I'm sad that I did that because I should have made this crazy avatar. But we normally have ourselves up here. Right now, we're just going to show you guys footage and talk because we have a lot to get to. We've both been playing the Street Fighter 6 beta. Are you jealous? Sorry, but no, it's a lot of good things to report. A few little some stuff that they could clean up, but I am overall super excited. And John, it sounds like from what we were talking about beforehand, so are you.
Yeah, this is a really worthwhile sequel from everything I can see so far. I'm really enjoying the game. People know I love Street Fighter 5, and it's literally my favorite game in the franchise so far right now. This looks like it's going to supplant that and take over, and I'll be switching right over is currently my plan. We will see. I want to see a little bit more of the game and other stuff, but right now I'm really happy with what this looks like so far.
Yeah, I am too. Like I said, there's a few things that I'm like, I hope they clean this up by the time the game comes out. But as far as the core game and the experience thus far, I wish I didn't have to do this right now so I could go back and play some more Street Fighter 6. But, because I love the people, I love you guys. We're going to do this. We're going to talk about it. Let's dig into it.
Yeah. So what are the things that you're noticing right now that are not on the level? And everyone, of course, this is a beta. We understand that, but we're still going to talk about the things that we don't think are working well.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Oh, so it's the menus, man. That's the first and foremost. Jumping in, the menus are there are a lot of them, which is a good thing, right? It's like options, you can go all over the place, and it looks like, especially once this is totally figured out and maybe made a little more intuitive, we'll have options for days, and we can control and everything, like every little aspect of the game and our preferences and all these things. But trying to get in and get the controls to how you want them, and be in line for a ranked match versus a casual match. A lot of that was either available in various different menus at the same time, and unlocked in one menu but not unlocked in another, and it was a little bit frustrating, especially as everyone's sort of mad Black Friday mad dash rushing into this game trying to experience it, and it's like, well, I don't want to go into a match with modern controls on and stuff like that. But that has been one of the first things that jumped out to me, this is a little bit of a hurdle to fun, but we've gotten over it mostly, so far. It's something that you'll learn. But yeah, were you feeling the same way?
Yeah, I had to go through some Steam menus and enable some controller stuff to even get my controller to get recognized at first.
Oh, that's so.
And that's very typical of betas like this. It's nothing unexpected, but there's definitely some loose ends here that have not been even close to be tied up yet. And as you mentioned, there's a million menus, and there really is you go into training mode, and it's like there's if you think Street Fighter 5 has a lot of options in there, Street Fighter 6 says, hey, hold my beer. Here's 50 more, for you to play with and mess around with. That's actually really cool, especially for hardcore players. You really do want these level of options and granularity in these games, because it's like, well, look, if I want to do XYZ, let me do it, and that Street Fighter 6, here's a kitchen sink, go for it. So it's a little intimidating at first, for sure. But of course you can skip all that stuff and just get right into the game, and just play it right away. There's no issue with that. But if you really want to, have classic controls going on, which a lot of fighting game members do, if you want to have, certain options enabled, I have on negative edge, kind of thing. I'm used to negative edge, put negative edge on, it's off by default. There's a bunch of things in there that you're going to want to go look at and see how it works.
Yeah. And again, one of the things that was frustrating to me is that I was trying to get into a ranked match, right? And there was one screen where I could see the option to turn ranked match on, but it wasn't activated. I couldn't actually manipulate it and going back and forth. But then there was another screen on a different menu from a different place where you would actually go out of the menus, and just when you were running around in Battle Hub, you press, well, for me it's light punch or X, I think it is, and there you could bring up basically the same page, but now I could change ranked match on and off. And it's little things like that now that I know it, it's like fine, I can get through there. But especially if you're a new player, and you're trying to interface with this, if it's going to take you 20-25 minutes to figure out how to set things up, that kind of sucks, because that's what you're doing immediately jumping into things. But again, it is a beta, fair enough.
Yeah, I have no fear that Capcom's going to have that fixed.
Yeah.
That is that's really stuff that you expect from beta, and that's just to give people an idea of like what the beta's like. It's very much not a polished product. And for example, like when you go into the Battle Hub, which is actually one of the really cool areas of the game, and it's a main place that you're actually going to be hanging out at, like when you're waiting for ranked matches and other stuff. It seems like I'm sure you can wait in training mode as well. Right now, that's done through the Battle Hub, where you actually have to go up to a machine, and then you can go into training mode, and then it will let you accept, I think, other Battle Lounge matches. I don't know if you can get ranked or casual play from that.
You can't get ranked, but but it essentially is casuals at that point, right? But somebody else can sit down and you can play with that person, I think, until your heart's content or until it boots you, because that happens, it's a beta every so often. But yeah, and that was sort of different from actually just, if you want to go into ranked, you can't sit down at one of those. In fact, if you're searching for ranked and you sit down at one of those cabinets, it will stop that for you.
Yeah. And but it is a really nice interface, because instead of staring at like the intro screen basically in Street Fighter V that everyone's seen a billion times, you're actually able to kind of roam around and do some stuff. Maybe you can go into the good shop and other things. I'm sure when the final game ships in, but like to remind people of the beta aspect of stuff, it's like player X has lost their win streak, and like says that like about 50 times while you're sitting there, and it just kind of all those like, oh yeah, this is definitely a beta. That's all right though. So it's for what it is and for what it's supposed to be. I'm very happy with where the game is at, and personally, it feels like to me that the game is getting fairly close to a finished state. And I think that with the possible exception of finishing up the remaining characters and polishing up some of the modes, like I think this game is shipping in February or March of next year. It's certainly not a lock, but I really feel like with as far as the game is along right now, that this stuff is all going to be polished up and good to go. And they're going to make the early 2023 release window that we've heard so much about.
Yeah, I don't see them not making that. And like, one, yes, it's so far along right now with what the parts of the game that we've experienced. If these characters basically dropped and said, like, if the game dropped right now with these characters and said, this is the vanilla version, here we go, I'd be like, yeah, this makes pretty much sense for vanilla. I'm sure there are little bugs here and there, but that's what you would expect for when a game first comes out. And that's where the portion that they're showing us right now feels like it's at. And so who knows if, all the other characters are completely done, and I'm sure they're not, but I can't see them not going in like February, maybe March at the latest, because I think they want this game on the Capcom Pro Tour next year, and in order to do that, they're going to need to launch fairly early in the year so people are ready for it, right? So like business-wise and with what we're seeing in as far as the development, I think it's for sure going to be early next year.
Yeah, I think if it's not ready, I think they will delay the Pro Tour actually.
Sure.
I'm really wondering if they'll keep another year of Street Fighter V in there, but I highly doubt it. It's it feels so much like the what Street Fighter V always should have been in so many regards. It's crossplay is fully enabled. The netcode, which we're going to get into right now. Now I want to warn people, because we haven't poked heavy holes in this. And people initially, when Street Fighter V first came out, they thought the netcode was extremely good in 2016. That did not hold up super well. But right now, the netcode definitely feels better to me. I freaking play Street Fighter V all the time. Like it is a main game I play. So I know the netcode extremely well. This definitely feels better for sure. There's no doubt in my mind that this is definitely better netcode. But how did it feel to you playing through it?
The first handful of matches that I played, I never in my brain did it register, oh, you're playing online and you have to update it. It just felt like I was playing the game. Now, I haven't played this game offline, and I don't know, like my fingers don't have expectations for the meta and for the flow of things. So if there were hiccups, I'm much less likely to be picking up on them. That said, everything that I wanted to do, nothing felt impeded by lag at all until maybe like my 10th or 15th match. And then there was someone that was obviously a little hiccupy and laggy. And that's to be expected still. I think we have a little bit of a patience for that. It's going to happen online occasionally. But like some 95, 6, 7% of the matches that I played, I wouldn't have known that I was playing online if you didn't tell me.
Yeah, and that's really typical with most fighting games is that people start out, saying how amazing the netcode is, and then you start seeing the warts in there. You start seeing, oh, that's how the game handles latency in these situations, and oh, that sucks, and so that is coming with time. There's no perfect netcode. I don't care what game and genre you play. There are always things that the developers have had to make concessions on in terms of like how a game plays online. But so far, I would say this is a fairly good couple steps forward from what Street Fighter V currently feels like, which is really good. On the not so good front, though, I do think the input delay feels about a frame worse than Street Fighter V does right now. Now, Street Fighter V, I've heavily optimized my setup. VSync is off. I know all the settings. I know all that kind of stuff. I've got G-Sync. I've got all this other kind of stuff going online. I believe I've got about a 3-frame, maybe close to 4-frame delay right now. And this game, to me, feels like there's an extra frame on top of that. And, same setup, same configuration, but I haven't dialed in all the settings yet. But I'm not concerned about that because basically every game in development, they have worse input delay, and the developers are constantly tweaking this stuff and making it better, right? That's how this stuff works. But I definitely want to see NVIDIA Reflex in there, because with other games, NVIDIA Reflex is dropping down input delay by 1 or 2 frames pretty much universally. And to have a fighting game have like a 2-frame or maybe 1-frame input delay would be amazing in the fighting game community. And that is what you can do with NVIDIA Reflex. So I'm not happy with the input delay right now, but it is also completely understandable that it feels about a frame worse right now on my PC.
Sure, and the game is definitely a tad slower in I don't want to say pace, but just the flow and the feel of the action. When you press a button, it feels a little bit slower, but that might be a little by design too, because as we're hearing and seeing, the frame data is a little different in this game than other. I don't think we have any 3-frame moves that people have seen thus far. And so maybe that's part of this whole thing, is that they're just, operating with a different kind of expectation when it comes to the fastest or the slowest moves in the game. And that's surely going to have some kind of an impact, especially when you're coming from where, 3 frames matter. And those that are competitive and have been playing these for a while know just how much of a difference single frames can make in certain situations and with certain moves. So that it does feel a little slower, but it's not in an unsatisfying way for the most part. Like, I feel it's fun to do the footsies dance and the back and forth, and to see them do something and try to react. Like, I can play the game that Street Fighter 6 is in front of me, and even if that's a little slower in certain ways, it's still very fun.
Yeah. John, don't talk to me about frame data, because I can't load up the CFN for Street Fighter 6 and look at frame data right now, and literally crying in my coffee because of how upset about it. I'm not literally, but I kind
you
of
said
want
literally.
Yeah. I feel that way right now. It's such a pain not to be able to load up frame data and go, okay, what was jury on block there? Like, I want to know so bad. And of course I can go into training mode.
It's probably -1 almost because so one of the things that it seems like we like identified Street Fighter 5 as is you're only as minus as you feel, right? And so many moves were either plus or they were spaced in a way where they felt plus, and it really took away from that feeling of the cost of doing this move is that you're going to lose your turn, or that you're going to, there was a risk to it. And in this game, I think they were like, okay, we're going to make sure that that's not an issue anymore. Almost everything is going to be slightly minus. So you go in, you do a thing, that's your turn. You better hit confirm it, and you better not miss, because it feels like whiff punishing is a little easier in this game, at least in my experiences thus far. But they've definitely made that, I think, a conscious effort to make sure that turns are turns and you don't get a whole bunch of extra ones.